Today, we are beginning the study of the Old Testament book of Proverbs. We'll be reading from chapter 1. The book of Proverbs is what's called wisdom literature. And this first chapter is going to do a good job of defining what that means. But I want to take a moment to point out a couple of themes to watch for as we read the whole book. Wisdom as knowledge. The authors of this book place a high value on being lifelong learners. We should all be looking for opportunities to expand our knowledge. As we do, we become increasingly more aware and respectful of God's work in the world. Wisdom as imagination. More than just book knowledge, the book of Proverbs will frequently describe concepts in very abstract ways. These are not meant to be fictional, but rather truths presented as images, just as Jesus used parables to communicate complex topics in memorable ways. So too, this book uses imagery to engage difficult concepts. Wisdom as discipline. Repeatedly, the authors will remind us that wisdom is not something we are simply born with. Wisdom is a discipline that must be practiced. We are called to make a choice to grow in wisdom. If we fail to, the alternative will invade our lives and lead us to destruction. One more thing I want to say before we get started. The Hebrew word for wisdom is chokmah, and the Greek word is Sophie. Both are feminine nouns and are personified in the book of Proverbs as women. That is to say that knowledge or wisdom is described as a woman. And so I want you to watch for how that plays out in the text. So let's get started with chapter 1. The first verse credits King Solomon as the author, and he may indeed have contributed in some way to this book, but most scholars think that the book is a collection of sayings and concepts that had been edited together. It's the next set of verses that really sets the tone. Speaking of what Proverbs are, it says this: their purpose is to teach people wisdom and discipline, to help them understand the insights of the wise. Their purpose is to teach people to live disciplined and successful lives, to help them do what is right, just, and fair. It goes on to say that Proverbs are about insight and knowledge for the young, and exploring these words will help guide our lives. At verse 7, we get this nugget. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Worth knowing. The text turns its attention to what happens if we fail to embrace wisdom, and warns us to stay away from those who would entice us to wrongdoing and foolishness. It's at verse 20 that we're introduced to wisdom as a woman. Wisdom shouts in the streets. She cries out in the public square. She calls to the crowds along the main street, to those gathered in front of the city gate. Come and listen to my counsel. I'll share my heart with you and make you wise. Unfortunately, as we read on, we discover that many people do not respond to wisdom's call, with disastrous results. The chapter ends with this: for simpletons turn away from me to death. Fools are destroyed by their own complacency. But all who listen to me will live in peace, untroubled by fear of harm. You will notice there are only 2 references to God in this chapter, and they're pretty light at that. What we will come to realize is that God is the critical element to all wisdom. Now, with that in mind, we have this stark contrast that suggests that if we allow ourselves to be enticed by the culture and ways of this world, we will ultimately experience ruin. Wisdom, however, invites us to make God our foundation, and in Him we will find peace. So today, let's steer towards wisdom and discover how God seeks to guide us and help us to grow. Have a great day, everyone.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.